This debate gets to involve two of America's favorite pastimes, which we all know as oil and the Middle East. In the left corner, as the plaintiff, we have Texaco Overseas Petroleum Company, which will hereby be referred to as TOPCO, and in the right corner, as the defendant, we have the recently liberated country of Libya. Let's go back in time for a moment to September 1st, 1973 and February 11, 1974. In a move that would make any scumbag Steve proud, Libya issued decrees nationalizing all of the rights, interests, and property of TOPCO that was in Libya, which had been granted to TOPCO by the Libyan government in the first place. Naturally, TOPCO was not too pleased about this arrangement and turned to the highest court of authority available on the matter, the International Court of Justice. Libya, however, claimed it had the right to nationalize, which is normally justified by the ICJ, while TOPCO argued that it retained rights to its assets under contract, and nationalization was therefore a violation and Libyan law should not overrule existing contracts. TOPCO requested arbitration from the ICJ and appointed their own arbitrator. However, Libya refused to submit to arbitration and did not appoint an arbitrator of their own. But as it turns out, the deeds of concession, or the agreement between the project company and the contracting authority between Libya and TOPCO, permitted the President of the International Court of Justice to appoint a sole arbitrator to hear and determine the disputes. In response to this, the Libyan government said, "Hold on a minute. The disputes are not subject to arbitration because they involve sovereign acts by Libya." The President of the ICJ rejected this argument and appointed Professor René Jean Dupuy as the sole arbitrator. As a result, the Libyan government refused to participate in the subsequent arbitration proceedings, which was kind of like being part of a court case and then sitting it out during the trial. In defense of Libya, nationalization wasn't really a new concept, so it wasn't like they were reinventing the wheel. A similar case had occurred years prior when Indonesia nationalized Dutch properties, namely tobacco plantations. Most clauses of the contract between the Dutch and Indonesia were expired when nationalization occurred, and the remaining were nearly expired. The Court of Appeals and Arbitration ultimately decreed that Indonesia had the right to nationalize as a result of the expired contracts. The option to renew private property rights were available before nationalization and legal under Indonesian law, and thus the failure to do so was the fault of the Dutch. As a result, the Court of Appeals struck down the Dutch appeal to retain import rights on Indonesian tobacco formerly within their ownership. Furthermore, the Dutch companies had not, prior to nationalization, established contracts of compensation in the case of nationalization, and therefore retained no rights to claim compensation. In favor of TOPCO, however, we can look at Saudi Arabia versus the Arabian American Oil Company. Like TOPCO, the Arabian American Oil Company put up a fuss when Saudi Arabia tried to nationalize their oil. The arbitrator in this case decreed that the state had entered the contract responsibly and a result would have to adhere to the agreements made under the contract for its duration. On January 19, 1977, Professor Dupuy issued an award on the merits in favor of TOPCO. He held that the deeds of concession were binding on all parties, that the Libyan government breached its obligations under the deeds of concession, and that the Libyan government was legally bound to perform the deeds of concession according to their terms. The deeds of concession contained a provision stating that the case would be governed by principles of Libyan law common to principles of international law, and in that the absence of such common principles, then they would be governed by and in accordance with general principles of law, including those which have been applied by international tribunals. The arbitrator declared that Libya was in violation of contractual obligations under which they were legally bound using the general principles of international contract law. TOPCO, therefore, was able to prevent nationalization under the general principle that private companies retain international legal rights to interfere with state laws in the International Court of Justice when those laws violate an existing contract between the two parties. This case provides important implications in international law for future cases involving the nationalization of foreign assets by a host state. As I just said, if a state and a private company have a contract together, then those private companies retain international legal rights to interfere with state laws in the International Court of Justice when those laws violate the contract.